All right, Michael, I understand the poetic justice or the irony here of Pete Buttigieg still being in the lead, despite the fact that he has called for the end to the Electoral College. He's winning in delegates, even though he's lost the popular vote here. It's still very scary to me to see Bernie Sanders this close to being, or I guess he's the presumptive frontrunner in a sense, this close to being the Democrat nominee for president.
It is scary. You've got one of the two major political parties and the only superpower on earth, and they're now moving toward this radical socialist who opposes everything that this country stands for and everything that made the country great. That is scary. There is a silver lining here, though. We're seeing this trend of Bernie Sanders winning the vote count, and yet for some reason other candidates getting the delegates and getting ahead. In this case, Pete Buttigieg. Buttigieg is a very weak moderate. In terms of the moderate lane of the Democratic Party, he's pretty weak and he's unelectable in the general election. He's also joined by Joe Biden, who barely has a pulse anymore on the campaign trail, and he's joined by Amy Klobuchar, who's now getting a lot of momentum. So they split that moderate vote up among the three of them. The radical vote is really just Bernie. Elizabeth Warren tried to make a play for that vote. It did not succeed. That's why her campaign has collapsed. So you've really got three moderates against one radical, and the top moderate so far tied, more or less, the top radical. That gives me a little bit of hope. The other thing that gives me hope in that vote count is that the real winner of New Hampshire last night was not Bernie Sanders and it wasn't Pete Buttigieg. It was Donald Trump. That's not just wishful thinking. If you look at the turnout was depressed among Democrats, even from 2016, and it was especially depressed among young voters who Democrats have told us are going to turn out in droves to vote against Trump. Meanwhile, during the Republican primary last night, President Trump shattered all sorts of records. He beat out every one of his predecessors for turnout in a second election, in a re-election. I think that bodes very well for Republicans, and I think the Democratic Party is basically in shambles.